Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. Before I start reading, and I am going to set a timer so I don't go over. I just want to share that this is the first reading I am actually doing since the pandemic. I teach, as Marcia was saying, and it was a really, really hard transition. I think for anyone who teaches and who's here, you know what I'm talking about. And everything is on Zoom, right? So it's been really hard for me because when I'm not working, I don't want to go on Zoom. It's not my idea of fun. So the only readings I've gone to is to support other authors, and I've done that in a very limited way. This is the first reading that I am actually doing since in about a year. And so thank you for having me in this strange, surreal interface and time that we're in. So I'm going to go ahead and share a few poems and also a couple of excerpts. I also write essays and prose pieces as well. Those are always harder to read because they're longer, but I selected a couple of excerpts that I hope will work. So the first poem I'm going to read is entitled Santa Monica, and it's a poem for my sisters. The ocean always seemed so far away. We didn't have a car, and the 2-hour bus ride on the RTD was a drag. Still, the ocean lured us, 4 sisters from Islos on a mission to the beach. Our neatly rolled towels carried like footballs beneath our arms, plastic grocery bags full of sandwich stuff for lunch, anticipation of our bodies colliding with the waves. We wanted to be like Gidget on TV, surf, eat hot dogs, buy sodas from the stands. Instead, we swaggered in long cutoffs, wet, oversized t-shirts clinging to our skin, faces glistening and darkening in the sun. We ate in a circle like a clan, used Spanglish as our shield, spread mayonnaise, slapped bologna onto Wonder Bread, drowned Doritos in chile y limon. Gritty sand making its way into our mouths, we chewed the beach was ours as we carved our names near water's edge. We tossed pieces of bread into the air, and the gulls came fervently, like in that Hitchcock movie we all loved, The Birds, frantic flapping of so many wings. We ran, our shrieks and cackles permeating the sea. And I'm going to read this poem. It's in Spanish. I grew up speaking Spanish at home with my parents, and then I learned English from my siblings and when I went to school. A lot of my work is braided between Spanish and English, and I think it was Antonio Burciaga, early Chicano writer, who said that his first language was English and Spanish in a fistlock. And I kind of feel that's my reality too, because those two languages braided together were my first language. I do have a translation for the poem. It's not a great translation, but I will also read it afterwards. The poem is entitled Este cuerpo es mío. Cuando me dice la doctora que estoy sobrepeso, me carcajeo en su cara de yeso. Mis dientes de oro brillan. Mi mal aliento la hace llorar. Soy una cebolla gigantesca, recién partida en su mesa. Sobrepeso tu maquillaje, le digo. Ya no soy la educada de antes, y la vanidad es un vestido viejo que me aprieta. Ahora, cuando me miro al espejo, sonrío. Soy un coco despeinado, un plátano con pecas en la piel. Un flan feliz bailando sin brasiel. Este cuerpo es mío. con sus manchas, cicatrices, celulitis, lo cojo, lo celebro, lo amo, lo lamo, lo declaro maravilla, fruta de vida madurando, como los cuerpos de los dátiles arrugándose, endulzándose en el sol. And this is the translation. This body is mine. When the doctor tells me I'm overweight, I crack up in her plaster face. My golden teeth glimmer. My body odor makes her eyes cry. I am a gigantic onion on her table, fleshly sliced. Me, too heavy? Your makeup, I say. I'm no longer the polite woman I used to be, and vanity is an old dress that fits too tight. Now, when I look in the mirror, I smile. I am a coconut with disheveled hair, a banana with spotted skin, a joyful flan dancing braless. This body is mine. With its sunspots, scars, cellulite, I seize it, celebrate it, love it, lick it, declare it a wonder, fruit of life ripening like the bodies of dates, wrinkling, sweetening in the sun. And this is a poem I wrote for my grandmother, who I never met, my maternal grandmother. And in Spanish, they would say, perdió la razón. Translated means she lost her reason. Sometimes people think this is a poem about her in old age with Alzheimer's or something, but it's not. It's actually her as a young woman. My mother was separated from her when she was about 3 years old, and my grandmother forgot everything and lost her mind. And so this is called vuelo, which means flight. She lost her memory in the wind. A cold gust of air swept across her hair, rose, danced like angry fuego en el viento. Por dentro, a sweet humming sound entered. Her mind, honeycomb cuevas, empty spaces, time lapses in the brain. Windstorms hurled inside of her, images and faces collided, kaleidoscope colors merged into darkness. All her memories escaped her like emancipated blackbirds departing in flight. And then when I went to college, they said the biggest cliche was writing a poem to the moon. So I had to do it, right? So this is my poem to the moon. It's called Metzli Chingona. Metzli is the Nahuatl indigenous word for moon. Only you can paint the sky so Mexican. Become paper mache skull laughing en la noche. Hang out como loca, irte de vaga, travel despacito, a slow yellow lowrider cruising los boulevards de cielos oscuros. Guachala, you're the high-heeled sugar mama romance queen, wearing skin-tight satin dress, singing canciones de amor. You turn the tide red, turn tough, illiterate cholos into poets, circle the wombs of women who bleed. Even lobos hold sacred your light. Lift heads up con, ow! You're la poser, moon over mi raza, light outside my window, la yema del huevo, the onion goddess, la canica de hielo dando vuelta tras vuelta en el cielo. You're la party girl who smokes mota and drinks too much tequila, becomes the slit of a sleepy eye hanging sideways, el ojo abusado de la abuela, la ceja blanca del viejo, la sonrisa chueca del borracho, an ivory alligator tooth dangling. Metzli, you're so bad, you turn Mars into a burnt out cigarette butt, make estrellas look like tossed jacks. You chase away the sun, smudge his fire like rust lipstick against pale blue horizon, make of a rising Venus such an envious star. This is a poem, Mikishli. Mikishli in Nahuatl means death. And this is how I grew up embracing and celebrating death. Mikishli. We love our dead. Love them like we do Chile, like we do guitar wailing corridos on drunken nights, like we do loud abuelas smoking on blue porches, laughing at that yellow hanging piñata we call moon. We love our dead, dead. Bake bread, buy guayabas, tecojotes, caña y canela, and don't forget to spike the ponche. We spoil our muertos like sick children, offer gifts of holy plates, steaming arroz, red black mole, their favorite fruta smuggled across the border. Sugar skulls grin approvingly, open mouths into zippers and railroad tracks, clay vessels se quiebran on the altar dance floor, bailan techno, do the Macarena, waltz among velas encendidas and orange flames of crumbling cempalxochitl. El muerto más pedo stands up to wail, ay, chiquita, ¿pa' qué quiero la tumba si ya me enterraste? We give them fiesta Oaxaca style, confetti parade, papel picado hanging over cackling niños, viejos, brujas, and priests who eat their own skeletons. We give them posada in early November, leave fluorescent altars on tombstones. We love our dead, like fire, like memory, like the bouncing reflection of all of us here, now, con caras pintadas, bocas sonriendo, dancing, dancing, dancing in front of this smoking mirror, waiting for it to break. I'm going to read an excerpt from a piece that is an essay entitled When Words Are Scarce. There are no children's books in your home growing up. No dictionaries, no encyclopedias, not even a Bible to skim through. Your main reading material consists of cereal boxes and Catholic leaflets given out at Sunday Mass. You shaft the leaflets and fight your siblings for Tony the Tiger, Lucky Charms, and Cocoa Puffs. It's the writing on the back of the colorful boxes you all want. Words are scarce and you're starving. Instead of books, your immigrant parents feed you ghost stories. El Cucuy, who lives in dark places, and La Llorona, the weeping woman who drowned her children at the river. These are your Mexican classics, your blue transparent women and hairy fanged monsters who eat bratty children. In the first grade, you start the school year late on account of moving. On the first day, the teacher hands you a book. Have your parents read this with you, she says. You want to crack up. Your parents don't read English. They don't even speak English. Crazy lady, you want to say. But when she asks if you understand, you simply nod yes. The next day, the teacher calls on you to read aloud. Your throat tightens. You stare into the page as if staring into a deep, dark well. Go ahead, she says, as she walks over to where you are sitting. She crouches over you and points to the beginning of a sentence. You notice her nails then. They are painted bright red and so long they curve at the ends. When you don't respond, she taps her nail on the page. Here. You hold your breath and dive in, rushing wildly through the sentences, skipping all the words you do not know, and making machaca of the ones you think you do. The next day, you get transferred into a special classroom. You don't read your first complete book until junior high school, when an English teacher sends you home with Old Yeller. You decide to give the dog a try, but when Old Yeller gets rabies and has to be shot, you yawn. You rub your eyes sore, trying to squeeze out a few tears. You're 13, and your relationship to reading and literature is a diseased dog, dead dog that you care nothing about. Your junior high school teachers don't help. One of them calls you lazy. Another one tells you that if you don't shape up, you're going to end up pregnant like all the other Mexican girls. You have one crazy teacher, Mr. Hannerhan. When nobody does the assigned book reports, he waves his hands in the air, calling all of you yahoos and scoundrels. You laugh at his antics. You're going to grow up illiterate, he yells. Actually, you are illiterate, and the sad thing is you don't even know it. He doesn't call you savages, but he makes you feel like wild monkeys in the classroom. He tries to civilize you with poetry. There's a raven in a poem who keeps saying, nevermore, nevermore. You read The Road Not Taken and stopping by woods on a snowy evening and wonder what the big deal is about all these lost guys in the woods. You consider ditching English for the whole semester, but one day, the only white girl in the class recites a poem, and Mr. Hannerhan practically weeps with joy. You see, he says to the rest of you, the savages, this is how you recite a poem. Did you hear how lovely her voice was? Lovely. Lovely is a lovely word, but your blood boils. You want to show Mr. Hannerhan that a savage like you can recite a poem too. You go home and practice with an illiterate vengeance. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. For the rest of your life, you will remember those lines. The day you go up in front of the class, though, you stand frozen, like a Neanderthal trapped inside a block of ice. Go on now, Mr. Hannerhan tells you. Go on. When you fail to move or speak, he sighs, exasperated, and orders you to sit back down with all the other yahoos.